This is going to be a very short video because the game that I'm going to play is a very simple game. It's a clone of Frogger for the Acorn Electron called Hopper. And it does actually include a nice little screenshot. You'd be surprised actually, because there's a lot of older games that just don't have screenshots of the game. And there's the tape. I was under the impression that the Acorn Electron was a severely restricted version of the BBC Micro, with games that almost always ran in monochrome. But it turns out that it's actually closer to the BBC Micro than I had originally thought. It is a budget version, a cheaper version of the machine, but what they really aimed to do was just reduce the chip count without compromising on the capabilities. So it's got the same amount of RAM, it's got the same processor at the same speed. A consequence of reducing the chips has actually made the machine about half the speed in some cases. I looked into it a little bit and it turns out that the speed is a bit slower because they reduced the amount of RAM chips. Even though it has the same amount of RAM, it has 32K of RAM, there's less RAM chips, there's only 4 RAM chips, and they have to be accessed twice as often. I'm not really that much of a technical guy, but I guess it's because there's 4 chips, so they would have to be accessed twice to get 1 byte of data. I don't have many games for it at the moment, but I am going to buy some more, of course. And yeah, this will be the first video of an Acorn Electron game, Hopper. Here we go, Acorn Electron Basic. And it's a very basic. And for some reason the load command on the Electron is chain. It's interesting how all of these old 8-bit computers all had the same way of achieving having an operating system. Instead of just creating their own operating system, they just included a version of the programming language BASIC and then had built-in BASIC commands for loading files, like firmware loaders. To record the sound, I actually had to have my phone sat next to my Electron and just had it recording, because quite a lot of those home computers have internal speakers and some of them don't output the sound to the TV at all. Here's the title screen. It's a very computery title screen with just lots of text. The colours are a little bit dull in the original recording, so I'm going to brighten it up. So for me, the first impressions were very good, because I actually thought a lot of Electron games were going to be really slow and not be very colourful, but this game's really colourful. It's got music and sound effects, and it really does move at a decent pace. Let's try that again. So you can see down in the bottom there's a time limit. For some reason your frog has a very short lifespan before he just croaks, which is a shame really, because it's completely unnecessary. This actually kind of reminds me of early Amstrad CPC games. Those Amsoft Amstrad CPC games where it's all bright and brash and colourful but not particularly sophisticated. And I wonder if it's the same on the Electron, where later games became more sophisticated, but they also ended up becoming a bit slower as well. Now this is really good. I really like this. I didn't play it for very long, so we're actually at the end of the video now. But yeah, that's a look at Hopper for the Acorn Electron, and yeah, I really quite like that. I hope the Acorn Electron doesn't disappoint me like the Auric did.